Bonjour à tous, bienvenue à ce nouvel épisode du podcast Vue d'en haut. Je suis David Bibeau. Puis aujourd'hui, on va avoir un épisode un petit peu spécial. Donc, on est joint par nos amis de chez Wingtra, donc Peyton et Amir. Donc, l'épisode spécialement pour cette semaine, en fait, va être en anglais dans son entièreté, étant donné que c'est la langue prédominante de nos deux invités. Donc, je vais maintenant vous continuer avec le podcast en anglais. Donc, hi everyone, I'm David at DroneXperts. So I've been at DroneXperts for 4 years and a half already. So I'm basically one of the sales people in the team. And today I'm joined by Peyton. You can present yourself.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Peyton McCain. I am the North American head of sales at Wingtra. Been with Wingtra for the last 5 years in the drone business since about 2017. And it's a pleasure to speak with you guys today.
Hi, this is Ahmed Salim. I take care for Wingtra Canadian business. Not working with Wingtra like Peyton for 7-8 years, few months. But I come from the utilities, mapping, surveying industry. I'm totally convinced where Wingtra can make the difference to your business.
Yeah, it's nice to have you guys. Thank you for making the trip and having this conversation with us today. So I just wanted to basically run through a couple of introductory questions just so we can get the audience up to speed on Wingtra and also DroneXperts, like what's the partnership like. So what I was thinking about is because almost 3 years ago we joined our forces to work together into selling your solution in the Canadian area, principally in Quebec, but we're starting to expand to the rest of the eastern part of Canada. But I just wanted to have your idea on why did you guys choose DroneXperts, and I can also touch on why we chose Wingtra as well. So maybe I could start with maybe the reason behind. So at DroneXperts a couple of years ago, we were looking for to expand our portfolio of products. We wanted to have a VTOL solution or a fixed wing solution, and looking at the market at the time. You guys really were the more interesting by design of the airplane, but also for many other reasons as well. Reliability and ease of use as well. And so that's kind of why we approached you guys. We really thought that you had a really interesting product. And I think the fit was also really good with the rest of the Wingtra team. So that's kind of how we approach you guys. Like, how did you...
I think you touched on something last that I'll start with. The fit between our two teams was really great. I think Wingtra and DroneXperts would tend to have a complementary culture, and it always makes it easier to do business whenever you get along.
Yeah.
But for us, a few years ago, what we were looking for is people that really understood drones, and that's certainly something that DroneXperts has as a trait. Understanding sort of the drone solution as a whole and how to inject different solutions that the drone industry has to offer to provide a really great experience to the client. For us, that's something that's really important, and we knew trusting DroneXperts with the Wingtra brand, with Wingtra customers, ultimately they would have a great experience, and the skies, as we say, would turn orange. So I'm happy to say it's been a great experience so far.
Yeah, it's been also really great working with you guys. And
and if I can just add on, I'm new, but I have talked with many customers across Quebec, and I'm glad that everyone talked about DroneXpert. Yes, we know DroneXpert.
Yeah.
And I think one of the key things, other than Peyton mentioned, is the service you can provide it locally here.
Yeah.
And in the drone industry, I would say there are a lot of regulations coming in Canada, BV laws and all that stuff. And someone who is new to drone, support from DroneXpert would be great. So that is the key also. After sales services and the and the local regulations. And definitely our calibration, as Peyton said, within Wingtra and DroneXpert, that's the key.
Yeah, and so and you touched on really something really important. Like as drone experts, we are the official Eastern Canada distributor for Wingtra, so we're able to have a really close connection with you guys and be able to provide higher level of service, just because of our experience in the field of drones, but as well with our really great connection with you guys. So we're really happy about that. And just so people kind of understand a bit more, what is the Wingtra we're talking about since the beginning of the podcast, if you can maybe present a little bit the company and what you guys do, and what is the solution right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So when people think Wingtra, they should think of aerial insights made easy. We provide a fully integrated end-to-end mapping solution that'll help just about anybody be able to go out and collect very large amounts of survey-grade data. And that's something that we provide by way of, as you mentioned, a VTOL mapping drone. But what's important, it's a VTOL mapping drone supported by some of the easiest workflows, some of the best user experiences, and integrated hardware, so that ultimately the learning curve to go out and collect quite a bit of really great data, it's minimal.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty interesting. There's a lot of drone companies that try to push on features and having the most sophisticated items on the market, but simplicity is always a really good advantage to have, because it can be integrated by almost anybody, and that makes the solution more appealing to the industry. So that's a really good point. Did you want to?
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally agree with it. It's simple and easy to use is the key. You don't need like old school surveyors, the champions who can go out and do survey. A youngster with a fair knowledge of surveying can go and fly and take the data. I think that's the key. Ease of use is the key.
Yeah, and so Wingtra is from Switzerland, and we often hear about the Swiss knife and stuff like that. You guys have a simple solution, but it's also pretty versatile and pretty well built as well. So that's what we appreciate as well. As we sell the solution, there's minimal problems with those. So this is a pretty good thing. So I wanted to touch on as well, the Wingtra's role in the industry, because I do feel like you guys have a particular mindset in mind, and you really touch on something that's most of the industry is trying to achieve, but you're really focused. So that makes an advantage on your part. So can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Just kind of where we fit within a particular industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I've seen a lot here lately is within local municipal governments, especially as it relates to departments of transportation or ministries of transportation, as you have here in Canada, where we've been able to create quite a bit of value across the different groups within these departments of transportation. You have elements of these entities that are concerned with roadway construction and mapping. High output survey grade mapping is something that is a perfect complement to building miles and miles of roadway. One of the areas that has been really successful for us here lately, where we've been able to provide a lot of very direct value, is around the maintenance of aviation resources, particularly airports. It's very, very important. Some of the finer things that we might not think about with roads, like the grade of a runway or how many cracks are in the pavement there, what the vegetation is like around that. And when you are working with an airport, you get these really tight windows for when you can actually go and collect data with a drone. Yeah. Because drones and airplanes, they tend not to get along. So if you only get an hour, you need to map as much of that airport as possible. You need to do it as accurately as possible, because when you're dealing with airports, centimeters matter.
Yeah.
So they have taken to using the Wingtra to collect enormous amounts of data on all of the different airports throughout the states, throughout the provinces. And it's something that's been really encouraging to see from our side how we can make a difference there.
Yeah, and it's actually something that we're starting to see over here. So it's a good news. But and the rest of the drone industry, like how do you guys see yourself differentiating the solution from, let's say, another manufacturer of a quadcopter drone, or another fixed wing solution? Like, what is the main differentiating factor other than the ease of use and
Yeah, you mentioned focus, and I think that's really the main thing is we're making a product with a very specific use case in mind. We don't want to be everything to everybody. And I think a lot of the other platforms that you described, the multi-rotor platforms, maybe some of the other fixed wings, they can be a perfect complement to what I firmly believe is our industry's best mapping solution. So when it comes to that focus, it drives the feature sets that you see. Whenever you're creating a mission in Wingtra Cloud to go and do a flight, for example, right off the bat, as you're creating the mission, you're getting prompted to insert survey-driven information, what coordinate system you want to use, if you want to use a local coordinate system. And that's something that I think sets a tone very early on for just how deep we want to go to serving this particular issue. So it all comes back to focus.
That's and it's something that I saw come out pretty recently, those features, and I was pretty happy to see it because drone solutions in the industry, they often try to reach as many people as they can. And the way that they approach this solution is by making it, for example, that it's the system of coordinates that is the most used across the world that is embedded in the drone, and you have to do a bunch of manipulation on the back end to correct that data. So having you guys go at it from the other side, saying, no, let's put every coordinate system in our software, and let's make it easy for people to actually get the right one out of the gate.
Exactly.
Yeah, the idea is that let's not dilute the solution. Let's focus on one industry, mapping and surveying, and let's do it the best way possible. Let's give the industry the best thing we can do, and that's the focus, actually.
So when you think about like putting together a solution for this in years past, and when Wingtra initially came to the market, if I wanted to produce a map for 1,000 acres, 500 hectares, ultimately the process by which I arrive at that point, from the idea where I think, hey, I think I want to map this to a drone, to, hey, I've got drone deliverables. It's something that was really driven by a lot of expertise. And it's where companies like DroneXperts have been able to step in and help quite a bit. But I had to pick a drone. I had to make sure the airspace was good. I had to learn photogrammetry so I could take thousands of pictures and turn them into a map, or I can turn them into a digital terrain model. How do I do that? Now I've got to buy another piece of software. Maybe there's an analytics component. So what we've done and what we've really focused on over the last couple of years is trying to make it to where you don't have to jump between product and product and product. You can just have everything you need right in one easy to use orange colored ecosystem.
And I think that is going to definitely, like I said, make it easier for people and actually broaden the use cases. And having it as a cloud solution as well is pretty interesting because you don't have to purchase a big computer to do all the processing locally. So other than that, there's like a lot of small features you guys are coming out with to make life easier for people. So
I would say like focuses on making it easy, but still reliable, still with accuracy, still in the best possible way. That's the key. Easy, someone can make anything, but if it is not reliable, if the data you are capturing is not capable of making decisions, no fun, right?
Totally makes sense. And we're talking about reliability of data and how do you guys manage to make it so you're providing as much information for the client that's looking to purchase, to say, hey, here's how we can get this data and this precision, and here's how I can prove that is working. Like, and how do you see basically what Wingtra is doing to make sure that the client really understands this, and also what products are you integrating as well that make sure that you can actually achieve this precision?
Sure, absolutely. So for us, the one of the common issues in the past has been the role that GNSS plays with a PPK solution. When it comes to integrating a third-party GNSS receiver, Admittedly, a lot of people need the functionality that comes with a piece of like high quality surveying equipment, a really true dedicated surveying GPS. But it does introduce some complexity that would end up being a challenge for some people in the PPK geotagging process. So we introduced a product called Wingtra Ground, which again falls into this idea of making the data collection process as easy as possible. It communicates with our platform, Wingtra Cloud, and allows the user to avoid some of the common hangups that might typically be seen with integrating a third-party GNSS receiver. Beyond that, as Amir mentioned, quality, reliability, ensuring that we take our time producing these products. We take our time selecting the components that we want to integrate, so that each user is assured before they get the drone that we're providing them everything they need to get something that is incredibly accurate.
Yeah, and that's something also that I like when I'm talking to clients, is you guys go above and beyond to make data sets available on your website for people to verify that actually, like, okay, this is data that was captured with this drone, and those are the specs of the flight that was used, the time that it took to fly it. So you guys are not hiding behind specs. You guys are actually going above and beyond and showing what actually you guys are all about, and that is something that I would like to see more in the industry. But you guys are good leaders in that sense, for sure. We can maybe touch a bit on the industries that you guys are working mainly in, and what are your focuses right now. So of course mapping is the idea behind all of this, but when we think about mapping, we often think about geography, or maybe we talk about geomatics, construction, maybe a little bit, but I do feel like there's more to it. We touch a bit on transportation and stuff like that, but could you go a bit deeper onto, what does mapping do for those industries in your mind? Like, where does the Wingtra have its advantage?
Sure, absolutely. So, I mean, for us, providing that easy solution to somebody that needs to run any given construction project, I mean, we know drone data can provide efficiency, and we want to provide a solution that provides that efficiency game or value, I guess we would say. We want to reduce that time to value as much as possible and reduce the complexity to value. And that's something that has made us relatively successful in the construction and engineering industry. If somebody needs to go and assess pile volumes, if they're doing earthworks, or if they need to audit how much material has been brought onto a site, that's something that they can do very successfully and very easily with the Wingtra. Another industry where we've seen a little bit of mutual success is around agriculture, and I guess I'll be generous with the definition of agriculture and include commercial forestry in that. But it seems that the future of precision agriculture, it goes hand in hand with high precision drone imagery. There's a lot of robotics being injected into precision ag, and for many of those robots, having a very accurate map by which to steer the thing ends up being very helpful. Tacking on the application of fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, being able to go out and see with Wingtra data precisely where the problems are, so you don't have to waste a ton of material spraying an entire field. You can just work on the problem areas. That's something that's valuable. And again, it comes back to just how easy it is, right? Like the average producer of, I don't know, I'll pick soybeans. We don't want to have to make them an aviation and surveying expert just so they can get the data that they need to run their spray drone. Instead, we democratize that process. We make it as easy as possible so that they can go out and say, okay, well, these are my problem areas. These are where I'm going to send my drone sprayer, and get right to work. Yeah,
it totally makes sense. And even in the university field, I do feel like those, like the amount of data that now is required, for example, to train AI and to expand knowledge especially with, for example, you guys integrate MicaSense Red HP as well on the drones. So you could go and get multispectral for agriculture or even forestry, actually. But the amount of data that you need to train those AIs is pretty massive. Yeah. So I started having more conversations with people in the educational space as far as those drones are because like we said, it can cover more ground. The Wingtra's main idea is simplicity, ease of use, reliability, but it's also how much ground can you cover in one hour?
Absolutely.
That's your guys' main advantage over all of the other solutions. So that is something I do feel is pretty interesting as well. And touching on forestry, there's a problem with drone data, because we have to understand that there's two types of ways to acquire data on drones. Maybe a couple more, but mainly that touches on the Wingtra. There's photos, which only see what you can see, and then there's the LiDAR solution that you guys managed to make it so you can integrate. And I think in forestry application, this type of solution might be pretty interesting. Is it one of your focuses as well?
Absolutely. I would call it an emerging market for us right now. DroneXperts is actually quite a bit of expertise in forestry compared to Wingtra's typical partners, but it's something that, as you mentioned, we now have a solution for that will help us maximize our value and maximize customers' value in forestry. The LiDAR unit, I think, for us has been kind of the missing link to be able to go in and look at a tree canopy and get information about what's going on inside that forest or inside that timber stand, beyond what we would see with an RGB sensor. So now with a LiDAR sensor, we can send a Wingtra up, collect data over, in some cases, nearly 900 acres in a single flight. Of course, that'll come down to weather, terrain, and all of that. But we can pick up huge swaths of data over a timber stand and provide accuracies down to inch and a half, inch and a quarter, which for most forestry applications, if you can provide that kind of information about what it is they're growing, they can really effectively manage their timber stands. And you throw in the fact that with a very easy second flight, you can drop in very high grade orthomosaic data on top of that.
Colorized point cloud.
Exactly. Ultimately, it's something that's a potent combination for somebody who needs to manage a forest. Yeah,
definitely. So, and mining, like, where does this mining go into all that? Is it still...
I would say in the mining also, as Peyton has touched, volumetric analysis is one thing, and the safety and benches length and all that stuff is a big thing.
Yeah.
And we are making a lot of success actually in mining in Western Canada.
Yeah.
Still, we are looking for DroneXperts to utilize their expertise in the mining.
Yeah.
But mining is a big sector for us. And in the big mines, you name any mines, and gold mines or copper mines, Wingtra is being used very successfully there. I can understand on the western side there are larger mines, but there is definitely potential. Safety is a big thing, and the volumetric analysis, what has been mined, that's a big thing we have. That being said, before Peyton said about the forestry, just to add on to it, we are talking with some guys in western provinces again about the fire safety in the forest, which is a big thing in Canada.
Definitely.
So they wanted to know before time what are the high risk areas, so they can fly, they can look into it. Like especially in BC and Ontario, fires happen every year, which used to happen in USA, by the way, more before.
Yeah.
So that's another application where we can look into Quebec also.
Yeah, definitely. I do feel like having a drone that can fly like safely, rapidly at if you could get, for example, a derogation, a COAS, and you could fly higher than the regulated height, you could cover a lot of terrain quite easily because of the the way that the link between the drone and the controller is made. You have a lot of distance that you can cover in one single flight. So I think that is really something interesting. But you were touching on something that I found to be quite important to touch on in terms of mining. You touch on safety, and what I do appreciate about the Wingtra is it is a solution by design that is made to fly over people. So that is something we do encounter in mining operations. The necessity of having to fly maybe in areas where workers are not working at the moment, to make sure that there's no drones flying over their head that could hurt them. And there is something that, for example, you need a parachute, you need to there's a lot of steps that we need to go through while using a typical drone in those type of application, where I do feel like the Wingtra has an advantage on that side because it's already ready to fly over people. It's basically like a big styrofoam wing. If it falls on somebody, I don't think it's going to kill them. So it has this advantage where if people in the mining industry do see the value of having a drone that can cover more grounds more rapidly, but also doing it more safely, I think that's the more value that we have with as a solution for that's industry.
That's a very key point, that we have those minimum number of safety features built in our drones, that they can fly over people without having option to have a parachute built into it. I think regulations in Canada say they need to have 3 safety features. And we comply with that, contrary to many other players who don't have, so they need to have a parachute built onto it. And that comes with its own pain, having a parachute. Technically, Peyton may talk more, but that's how we comply. As far as you have those features available, like the battery life, the feature to come back to home, like this stuff, you don't need a parachute. So that is a key success for us in Canada, and I'm sure in other parts of the world, they will follow Canada. Let's put it like this.
And I did have a lot of discussions as well. You were mentioning batteries, and one of the things that I think people kind of miss when looking at solutions is because like in Canada, we have a part of our country that's pretty far up north. That's pretty big, but there's a lot of actually right now there's a lot of discussions about the north and the protection of the north, and getting to also build for those communities that are up there. And there's a lot of projects in research in universities, and even like building projects that are starting over there, where bringing your drone is a challenge, because taking a standard quadcopter drone over on an airplane with batteries that are higher than the limit of is basically watt hour. It's above 100 watt hour, you would be having problems. But you guys already had thought about that beforehand, and your solution like comes with batteries that are compliant. You could just go as a carry-on in the regular airplane. So making it so clients can go all across Canada and other countries as well to go and fly that drone is something that people sometimes look past, and it opens up also other industries and applications in research and stuff like that. So I think that this is all like the ways that Wingtra kind of impacts those industries. Maybe we could touch a bit more on technology and because we touched a bit on the LiDAR, we touched a bit on Wingtra Cloud, but I know you guys are looking at that whole workflow, but you also have some things that are particular about your products, like the LiDAR and stuff like that. So maybe we could touch a little bit on that. So as far as volume calculation, we're working more with standard RGB cameras. What are actually right now the payloads that you guys offer, and how do they stack up against each other?
Sure, absolutely. So every payload we produce is made with a very specific solution in mind right now. But when I think about volume, when I think about 3D reproductions, I think about the MAP 61, which is at this point, I would consider it our flagship. It's a 61 megapixel camera with a pretty wide angle lens on it, and that grants a couple of benefits. On one hand, your 3D reproductions are going to end up looking fantastic, even without the need for a crosshatch flight or for a true oblique flight to the side of an object. We've seen really great results from this combination of a wide-angle lens and very high resolution. But one of the nice byproducts of that, if you need to do volume calculations, I mean, we're talking about mines here. Some of these pits can get to be thousands of acres. And being able to get that really great 3D reproduction, to get volumes inside mines this large, the MAP 61 has got, because of its wide angle lens, a pretty incredibly wide ground swath. So coverage on that is going to be extremely high. Now, for our customers that want to get a little bit more accuracy, we do have the RGB 61. Again, a 61 megapixel camera, but it's got a little bit of a finer lens on it. So if you need to get the smallest, tightest GSD that you possibly can, it's going to be a great camera for you. But it still has a lens that is a little bit wider, so that you might see improved coverage capability over something else that you would select from within the drone solution space. Moving on from that, you did mention the Red Edge P. That's a more specialty payload for us. Usually used in the agricultural space, the environmental research space, the universities love it. But it's a multispectral sensor from Sense, and the thing with this one is it has a Pencro band. So your outputs are going to come out looking a little bit crisper. Very, very nice results that we're seeing from the Red Edge P. And of course, I couldn't talk about our payloads without talking about the LiDAR scanner. It's something that we're pretty proud of. We acknowledge it. It took a little bit longer for us to bring something to market, but it is an area where we wanted to make sure that we do it properly. There were options to integrate maybe lower quality LiDAR scanners a little bit earlier, but we're Wingtra. We can't just put our name on anything. So we ended up finding a really nice match with our airframe and the Hesai XT32. And ultimately, the combination of that LiDAR scanner and with our integration partner at Inertial Labs, we've been able to create the Wingtra LiDAR, which is a scanner that works very nicely, even with a fixed-wing aircraft. The point density we're seeing is very good, and as I mentioned, the accuracy is getting down to that 1.2 inch range. So I mean, with that wide ground swath you pick up with LiDAR, with the great point density we're getting, even at our legal ceiling of, and I'll use imperial here, 400 feet. The coverage is incredible, and we're able to maintain our pretty quick flight speed with that thing. So it's been a huge benefit. I mean, we talked about forestry, but the surveying and engineering application, they've really enjoyed being able to go in and do a pre-flight or a pre-designed flight over maybe a green field or undeveloped land, and be able to discern very easily what's going on beneath that tree canopy. And I know Quebec here, it's very vegetated, and being able to
most
empower
of Canada
people.
is
exactly. So
other than in the winter.
Right. Yes. So empowering those people to go out and collect that data has been something that's really great to see with the Wingtra LiDAR.
Yeah, definitely. I do feel like it's a challenge to integrate the LiDAR solution to like a fixed wing solution, because you have to maintain a certain speed for the drone to maintain its advantage of covering ground. But having integrated it into some of my clients, it was a pretty easy process, as everything is with Wingtra, and the results are actually pretty impressive for the speed that the drone is going. We're not used to seeing LiDAR drones going that fast, but it's actually a good thing because you can cover
and you mentioned
north
of Canada, which I think we cannot open Canada without having those indigenous people, First Nation people. They are important, and this north, which is coming more and more important, which is predominantly by indigenous guys, their Wingtra makes most sense. Gusting winds, tight spaces, temperatures, and all that stuff. Where the Wingtra dance like anything. VTOL is the technology there. The winds we can bear, these quadruples, multi-rotors cannot. I think that's where it makes a lot of sense for people to consider Wingtra rather than conventional, typical drones.
Yeah, totally. And touching on maybe the last things is we touched on the oblique payload, and you mentioned something that I really want to make sure that people understood is that normally, typically, when you're doing orthomosaic for volume calculation, you with a typical 90-degree angle sensor, you're having to maybe do two passes that are cross sections. So you're going in perpendicular to the other flight, and you're having to basically take double the time, which is kind of counterproductive. If you're trying to fly it by drone, you don't want to have to do it two times. But with the Map 61, you're basically telling us that you can cover that area once, and you have like accurate enough data to basically do a models. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something that we're pretty proud of, being able to create 3D reproductions like that as a fixed wing. There's actually a really cool data set. It wasn't collected with the Map 61. It was created with an older payload. Yeah. But it does really nicely validate how well we can do with this concept. It's at wingtra.com/Zurich.
Oh yeah.
Our team went out and mapped the entire Zurich metropolitan area.
It's pretty big, right?
It's very big, but what's incredible is when you start zooming in on the vehicles, on the roadways, you can rotate down to like put yourself in a POV on a street. And ultimately, like I had my own questions about how well could we get an oblique payload for or an oblique output from a fixed wing aircraft, and looking at that data set, that's all I needed to see. Yeah. And as we've integrated with the Map 61, as we add more resolution to the mix, things are only getting better.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, you're touching on something that's pretty interesting as well there. Municipalities are having to work with some problems with getting datas on updating like what's going on with the different terrains. So for example, if somebody asks for a permit to build something, then it's kind of hard for municipality to go and check and get that data, and to be able to verify, go and get the taxes up if the client doesn't, if the person is not respecting the laws in place. And so I do feel like with this oblique payload, with the Wingtra, like municipalities could basically get datas pretty frequently of their whole areas, and be able to get that information to make sure that they can apply those laws and regulations, and make sure that they are in control of what's going on their territory, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, because without naming any city, at the moment, a couple of our other partners outside of Quebec, talking with at least two major cities of Canada for the same application. And they're at the final mature stage to make a decision and go with Wingtra. I'm proud that they're going with Wingtra, but for the same application where they need as-builts, where the contractor or the residential owner has sent that needs to be done, they need to approve. They don't need to send guy all the way across larger cities. They can just fly the drone and get it done.
Even for smaller municipality that don't have like that much budget to purchase or to have planes fly over and things that are pretty expensive, like having that Wingtra drone, you can have it and get it out like a couple times a year, and even do your volume calculation in the nearby quarry and stuff like that. So I think it's a drone that is very useful for many people, but especially in the municipality would be a pretty good thing, because like we said, it's an easy workflow to get with. It's a reliable drone. You could even put Wingtra grounds and get your own circuit of GCPs and stuff like that. And I do feel like that is something that we're starting to get a bit more discussions towards. So it's good things.
Yeah, and as you're touching municipalities, another application I would like to bring up is the landfill sites, recycling. That's a big thing coming up. That couple of larger cities are talking about it. They are also going to buy it rather than sending, because the large landfill sites are kilometers and kilometers.
Yeah.
Right? Few miles, miles. So that's another application which is coming up with the environment, with the recycling, this industry growing. That's another where Wingtra can rock. So that should also be considered by municipalities when it comes to be, or the guys who are like contractors of the recycling. Those are big companies we have in Canada.
Yeah, yeah. So to maybe end that discussion, and because they were already like at 40 minutes, we wanted to highlight what is the main return on investment. Like, how do you guys how do you guys convince clients that are already using drones? Not that they're not using drones and you want them to use drones, but they're using a different type of drones. How do you guys, bring in the value on the table for using the Wingtra? Like, do you have any specific ideas that maybe people don't think about?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, drone pilots, drone adjacent folks tend to be pretty smart, so maybe they're already thinking about some of this stuff. But
probably.
What I tend to have in mind is at the end of the day, people are going to buy something if it within a business context, if it meets one of three criteria. Either it's got to help them make more money, it's got to be that much easier to use, or it needs to be cheaper than everything else. And while we're not the lowest price thing out there for the first two in terms of helping people create quite a bit more value for themselves, and being that easy to implement, ultimately this is something that we would really go deep on. Now, I think ease of use is a little subjective. We spent quite a bit of the last 45 minutes talking about that, but where we do have some resources that maybe your viewers haven't seen before is we have a labor cost and coverage calculator on our website. We want to put the ability into our customers' hands and into potential customers' hands to be able to look at our solution with their own costs, with their own projects, and be able to determine themselves if we can at least hit that first item, which is, can we provide them a return? And I think that, combined with the idea of how simple life can be with Wingtra, with the complete end-to-end solution, ultimately it's something that I think will speak for itself, right? Like that's the main thing. We want our products to be valuable enough to a customer that aligning with Wingtra, bringing Wingtra into your shop is self-evident.
Yeah, and so at DroneXperts, we of course will try to help you guys kind of see all of those different points of views, but that labor cost calculator is really, like, it speaks pretty frankly to the situation, because, like you said, you enable clients to input their own costs.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty...
Yeah, as Peyton said, that drone nerds or drone pilots are smart.
Yeah.
So any smart guy, when buying anything, will look into cost of ownership, the life cycle cost, not only the initial price. That is only one factor. He mentioned about the topics like reliability and all that stuff. That all totals up to life cycle cost.
Yeah.
I think that's important rather than focusing on the initial price only.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really nice time to speak with you guys. I really appreciate you making the time for this podcast. It was really insightful to get your ideas on some of those topics we mentioned. And like I said earlier, your partnership is pretty it's important for us, and we're really happy to be working with the Wingtra folks and the Wingtra product, because we do believe it's a really great product. And so I maybe want to end this podcast by telling you guys that if you are interested by any of that we mentioned today, you can go and look in the description of this video. There will be links to more information about the Wingtra, maybe some data sets. We'll try to link some things that we mentioned throughout this podcast. And if you have any needs to chat about this solution, that you're interested in learning more about it, you can definitely contact us via the website or email. social media, or you can just call us at DroneXperts. So thank you guys for listening to us today, and thank you guys for being a part of this. It was really great to speak with you guys, and we'll see you soon in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye.